Well, throughout the month of September, the Allegheny Portage Railroad has been recognizing International Underground Railroad Month by sharing the history of freedom seekers who passed through our area. Our Leanna Wells visited the National Historic Site to learn more about one man who was determined to be free.
The Allegheny Portage Railroad served merchants, passengers, and was used by many to escape slavery, including Jacob Green, a freedom seeker who escaped from a plantation in Romney, Virginia, which is now part of West Virginia, and was owned by Colonel Isaac Parsons.
He was on his way north, and he went back to that area several times and actually was able to help other people escape as well. And some of those folks were caught, and with information gathered, they learned that Jacob Green was likely heading to Pennsylvania and was going to use the Main Line Canal to get to Pittsburgh.
The Main Line Canal's centerpiece was the Allegheny Portage Railroad, which brings us to October 1855, when Green takes a seat in a train car at Hollidaysburg with a ticket to head west. James Parsons Jr., the nephew of Jacob Green's owner, gets in the same train car. What happened next ensued chaos as Parsons tries to capture Green and take him back.
So there were a lot of abolitionists in Hollidaysburg that came to the aid of Jacob Green. And as Parsons Jr. is trying to take Green back with him, an unfriendly crowd gathers and they're shouting things, people are drawing their fists, and they don't feel that Parsons Jr. has the right to take Jacob Green back to Virginia with him.
Parsons Jr. is instead arrested and charged with attempted kidnapping, which gives Jacob time to get away. Parsons is later acquitted of all charges.
They tell him go back to Virginia, don't come back into Pennsylvania. But when you think about it, at that point, the Civil War could have almost started in Hollidaysburg, which makes this story so incredible. It was a little-known story.
A little-known story that earned the Allegheny Portage Railroad a designation on the National Underground Railroad Network to freedom, with a verifiable connection to the Underground Railroad. As for Green's story, many believe it ends there because he was never seen again in Hollidaysburg. It's speculated that he traveled through the mountains and continued north to the safety of Canada. But Barb disagrees, saying that Green had a reason to go back to Virginia to be with his family.
I followed up where he could have ended up, and there is a record of a Jacob Green in Augusta County, Virginia, which is not far from where his family was, who ended up being a farmer. And I'm thinking that perhaps this was him. I mean, the age is kind of right. I mean, he appears in the 1870 census. So, and he is listed in a couple of books in the history of Augusta County as being a Black man who was running a farm, who, like I said, is not far from the original, where his family was originally from. I think this is him. I think he went back to Virginia after the war, after the Civil War, and I think he lived a life not far from where he grew up.
The National Park Service says that September was chosen to represent International Underground Railroad Month because it was the month that two of the most well-known freedom seekers and Underground Railroad operatives, Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman, escaped from slavery.
I think they should really start to explore this Underground Railroad, because as much as we have uncovered, there's more to be uncovered. There is.
Reporting for WTAJ News, I'm Leanna Wells.